Guys, gals, and pals, welcome to Paint&Talk, episode 4. I hope you've had not only a great 24 hours since I've seen you last, but the best 24 hours that, not the best ever, but like better than the last 24, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna get my hopes high enough for the best ever, like, come on, what are we doing? But I hope you've had a great 24 hours, since I've seen you last. I, for one, have, for one reason in specific, the smudge next to the camera is gone. Not because I fixed it or anything, but because I hid it behind me. And that's pretty much that. That's pretty much been the biggest improvement of my last 24 hours. Honestly, if I'm just being real, I want to talk about yesterday's episode a little bit. Because, it was the first time where I was a little bit down in the dumps after I finished recording a Paint&Talk episode, which is hilarious because it's literally episode 3. I don't know why I'm saying that as if that's like a shocking thing. It just didn't go quite as well as I wanted to, which is gonna happen. I think that's the biggest thing that is so interesting about this, and the hardest part about a whole lot of this stuff, to be honest, is deciding just how much I want to share, if that makes sense. Because this is a process, right? And the reason I want to do this process is for growth, right? But at the same time, it's some of that growth is not very nice. And I think we've all had the experience of doing something and it doesn't go as well as we wanted to. This could be in anything. It could be a test in school, if you still do that. It could be talking to someone, having an interaction, anything like that. I think we all sort of have that experience, and it's obviously going to be an essential part of this. It feels like I really should share that kind of thing of how it felt, what I concluded afterwards, all that. But it's also uncomfortable. But if the point is to have a journey, shouldn't that journey be shared? What's the point of recording it if it's all just kind of meaningless babbles? The main reason why I think I started getting in my head about it was because of the painting, right? Because I had something of a vision for the painting, but it just didn't fill up the time. I want these to be 30 minutes, at kind of a minimum. You'll notice yesterday, episode 3 was exactly 29 minutes. So, it being, something that had to kind of stretch out made it worse. Where otherwise it could have been this nice, natural thing. It felt like it had to be... It felt like I had to lower the quality to fill the time metric of it. Which, I didn't. You know what I mean? I watched it back and it wasn't the most insane dip in quality from anything else ever, It just felt bad, and I think that's what it comes down to more than anything. And that's my biggest takeaway that I had to learn from it, is, sometimes it's not gonna be good, And that's what, I feel like that's kind of why you're watching, though. You know what I mean? Wouldn't this be boring if I came here every day and, painted something that's, solid enough to pass? It's alright, he painted something interesting. He talked about something, interesting enough for me to use his background noise for 30 minutes, and you moved on. Wouldn't that be kind of boring after a while? Don't you want it to be wow, this one was better than the last one, or this one was worse than the last one? Isn't that better? I don't know. I think I'm kind of asking. I think I'm genuinely asking here. Because I don't know what is interesting. I just know what I like, and I didn't like what I painted, and I didn't like me talking, and it made me get in my head about man, this is a bad one. And I think the biggest fear is that I don't know what the fear is about having a bad one, Because it's, at first it seems like the fear is because you're having a bad one in front of people. I mean, when you're drawing or writing or doing anything creative, you're gonna have just bad moments, especially if you're doing it consistently. You're gonna have something that you didn't think came out that great. But On the other hand, it's like, of course you are. That's how you get to the good ones. I sat next to this guy once in a class in high school. This was years ago. And I sat next to him, and he was on the computer, and like in school, I went to one of those schools where they like the Photoshop classes. I don't even remember what class I was in, but they had on the computer in the computer room some version of like a Lightroom kind of thing. I don't even know what the program was. And every day he would sit down and just make like what I perceive to be the worst thing ever. Like he would make it. Have you ever seen those images where people like deep fry it or like make it look like it's like an acid trip? He would do that to images every day, and I was like, this guy's like, he was really cool. I loved talking to him, but I was like, this guy's bad at this. Like he's just objectively terrible at this. Like I've never seen him make something good, and you know, like one day he sat down and he just made the most like professional image ever. I was 14 when this happened, and it looked like something a professional studio would have come out with, and I was just like in awe. And I realized like sometimes you gotta make a whole lot of bad stuff to get to the good stuff. That's when I really realized that, because like, I mean, you could look at this from like two perspectives. One is like the more large scope of that, but also like there's just like the intricacy of like he knew better than anyone how those curves in that program worked and like where that hue could take him, because he'd taken everything in every direction. None of them were good, but he knew exactly the place to go to get to that good stuff. And that was so interesting to me. And I don't think the exact thing applies 100% for painting. Like, I don't think I'm gonna make, this isn't me trying to be like, I'm gonna make $1 million of like the painting that I made yesterday, which I personally didn't like. Maybe you liked it, that's cool. I showed it to a friend and they liked it, which is awesome. Like, that's nice, of course. I didn't like it though. I'm not saying I'm gonna make $1 million of those and then come out with a good, like the Mona Lisa one day. That's not how this works. But I do think there's something to be said for, you need to do the bad stuff to get to the good stuff, which I'm well aware of. But at first I was like, I felt bad about it, and then I was like, okay, I must feel bad about it because it was on camera. Like, usually you get to do that stuff in the sketchbook and just turn to the next page and never look at it again. You know what I mean? I think we all have those pages in our sketchbook where it's like, oh, I don't want to look at that drawing again because it was really bad. Or, you know, I'm trying to think, how could I, like, applying this to like something everyone does. I mean, a bad text convo. If you had a text conversation where you felt like you looked bad or you just didn't like it, you're probably not going to scroll up to that part of chat ever again. You're not going to want to see that, you know? But you have to be a bad communicator sometimes to learn how to be a good communicator. I think that, you know, when everyone's younger, that happened. I mean, I haven't had this happen since I was a teenager, but I remember that happened, you know? So like, but then I realized like I really didn't feel bad about it like that. Or I don't know, maybe I did. I think it's one of those things where it's hard to tell why I was like kind of bummed out about it. I think the point of all this is me saying like there are going to be a lot of yesterday where I perceived it was bad, and I want that. Like, the more I thought about it, the more I was like, this is good. Because why do I do something every day if it's not to show everything every day? Why wouldn't I just instead of uploading these every day, try and do 30 minutes of this a day, which I love doing, if I wanted it to be perfect, I should just do this every day, cut it down, and upload an hour-long one every week that's well edited and only shares the good stuff, and it's more interesting and would probably do better. Why wouldn't I do that? So it kind of made me look back at my own project a little bit and be like, okay, why am I doing this? What's the intention here? And the intention is to have bad days in front of everyone and to have a journey with everyone, you know? Document, don't create. That's the ethos of all this. So I guess this is more so a way of me saying, like, buckle in, because I'm about to paint some bad stuff. But, no, on a more serious note, I just wanted to talk about that because, like, not because I think it's like super important or anything, just because I think I want to share stuff like that. You know, obviously if I'm like sobbing, crying in the bathtub after one of these, I probably won't share that. That hasn't happened. I don't want it to seem like that happened once. Now it really seems like it happened once. Like obviously I don't want to share that kind of thing, but I think it's good to share. You know, just like I didn't think that was great, and I wanted to think about why I didn't think it was great. And then maybe the conclusion I come to is, no, it was great that it wasn't great. Or sometimes maybe I'll just be like, man, what was I thinking? And take down the video. I mean, that's totally going to happen at some point. That happens a lot. I have like, I think last year, I think right now there's like, probably, I don't even know how many videos are on my YouTube channel right now. I'm going to be so honest. But I know I have at least like 6 or 7 that I fully made, invested months into, and took down. Just because sometimes I'm like, why would I ever do this? Oh my God. I remember there was the second, was it the second? No, I think it was the third video I ever made. I did a tour of the Strand bookstore. And at the end, it was a maybe like 5-minute long video. Like it was really short, really quick. And third video I ever made, it did kind of well for my third video. I think I got like 1,000 views, which I remember being really happy about. But at the end of it, I took the last 3 minutes of it and walked through Thomas Paine Park, and did like this like monologue over dramatic music. And I was just like, I remember when I thought of the idea, I was like I thought it was a bad idea, and then I was like, no, I gotta be bold. I gotta do all those ideas that like separate me from everyone else, because like I don't want to play it safe, which I guess is good in a way. But that time I should have played it safe, because that was so bad. I remember months later watching it back being like, what was I thinking? Not only did it seem like I was like actually mental, but like it wasn't even well executed. Like if someone does something like that and it's like, this is weird but like kind of good, fully respect it, and I hope to be doing that like someday. Literally, like any day now I'll probably do it, because I really think stuff like that is awesome and cool. But like I didn't even have the skill to execute it, so it just seemed like I was actually like going off the rails. Also, why in an 8-minute video would half of it be about me instead of this bookstore? Who cares? Like I don't even know how it got 1,000 views, honestly. But that was I don't remember why I was talking about that, but I just remembered that. But yeah, so I think maybe that's part of the reason why today I'm kind of playing it safe with these paintings. I just want to do some shapes. I really like this kind of thing. The shapes do represent something to me. These are symbols that I kind of use a lot within my life. I have them painted everywhere around me. Not painted, drawn, or the colors used. And I'll be explaining in the Instagram posts, which I shamelessly have to plug every day now, of course. Whatchamacallit, but you know, something I really need to stop doing that I was thinking about, because I was thinking about Instagram, you know, thinking about Mark Zuckerberg, all that great stuff about Instagram.com. No, but I was thinking about Instagram, and whenever I get a DM, I have this terrible habit of responding to it with an audio message, just because like that's how I text my friends. Like you can ask any of my friends, if you text me what's up, like you're getting a minute-long audio message back being like, right now I'm just downstairs boiling some eggs. I'll be eating these pretty soon, probably. They're looking good. I'm thinking of salting them a little bit. I wish I could make deviled eggs. You know, I can't make deviled eggs, but I wish I could. Like that's just like something I do because I don't know, and it's carried over into my Instagram, but like at least 5 times now, like someone's messaged me something very basic and I respond like that being like, what's up? That's so cool. Like I'm just like chopping it up with this dumb audio message that's usually a little too long. Or is it called a voice memo? I don't even know. It's my favorite tool and I don't know what it's called. But then they're just like, yeah, cool, thanks, and like just never DM me again, ever. I'm like, oh man, I scared another person away because I think I'm actually going through it right now. So this is a PSA. If I DM you with an audio message, it's just I can't control it. It's a condition, I suppose. But either way, yeah, I think that might be why I'm playing it safe with this painting today, where I'm going to do some shapes. I'm going to do them in some colors, which is typically how this whole painting thing does tend to go, and it's going to be awesome. But it got me thinking, I know what I'm going for with this kind of feel, and I think by the end of this you will too. You'll be like, oh, I totally, this is, it feels a certain way, it has a certain reference point, of, something everyone's very easily going to identify and understand, right? Of, it just feels familiar. Not looks familiar, I'm not basing this off a painting, but feels familiar, right? And it got me thinking, okay, so I know that I want to go for this look, and I was like, maybe I should search up some things of, similar looks before that. And I don't know, I didn't, not because I didn't know how, but because I got busy. I do know how to use Google, I just got busy and didn't do it. But it got me thinking, I don't even know the name of this style that I'm doing right now, of these sort of geometric shapes, a little bit dumb, a little bit wonky. I completely and utterly know what I'm doing, and I could point to a million things that look just like it, and tell you why I love them. I don't know what it's called though. And I was like, man, genre is so interesting, you know? And I was watching this video, on Leve, the Icelandic, Icelandic. I think she's from Iceland. I don't know. This is so sad. Now the people of Iceland and Norway are both gonna be mad because I got them mixed up. But you know, I was watching this video on some guy being like, "Is Leve jazz?" I'll be honest, I didn't finish the video. I would have if I knew I'd be talking about it right now. I don't know. I think I got busy. I don't remember why I didn't finish it, but it made me think of what is genre, you know? Because Leve consistently calls herself jazz. From what I've seen, I don't know. I like her music. I won't act like I'm the most filled-in person on every interview with her. But I think she calls herself jazz. I think when I listen to her album, Bewitched, it has the jazz tag on it. And it that's fine, right? But this guy came along and did this whole analysis of jazz singers in the past have never thought about have never dealt with subjects like this. The lyrics aren't supposed to be relatable to an audience this young, and the chord progression is stolen from this song, and this harmony is stolen from this song. And he basically used it. I think, honestly, he seemed like he was well-informed on jazz. Maybe, it could have been completely accurate is kind of what I'm saying. That she's not technically jazz, right? But the more I watched it, the more I was like, wait, why do I care? Right? If I watch this video and I'm like, she is jazz, you know, I hate this guy and I disagree. Or if I watch the video and I'm like, no, she's not jazz, this guy's right. Technically, she's, you know, musical theater pop adjacent jazz. It's some, you know, other thing. Which again, I didn't finish the video, so I don't know the conclusion there. What does it change? And I think that's part of the reason why I stopped watching it, because I was just like, there's nothing to be gained, because the music remains the same, no matter what I call it. And I think that's, super interesting, because it made me think about genre a lot. Of, what is genre? I want to paint this thing, and I was thinking about Googling what specifically I'm going for here, so I could, know. Just so I could know. I probably wouldn't paint anything differently. I probably wouldn't use a different technique. I wouldn't go that deep, but just so I could know what it is. That doesn't change the painting. It really has if I'd be sitting here painting the same thing, I'd be talking about something different along the way, but the painting would be exactly the same. So what is genre? If genre doesn't change the music, then the music changes the genre. Then it's arbitrary, isn't it? Right? I don't know. This is something that would make for a great video on my main channel. It's very much in line with what I do over there. but it's also just not, it's not, one, interesting, two, well-developed, or three, long enough. So I'm gonna just talk about it here. But like, whether we call Nirvana grunge, rock, or punk, or late 90s grunge, rock, punk, it's still gonna be, the music still remains the same, right? And I think it's the same with like paintings. Like I know Dadaism and Surrealism were two art movements of the early 20th century, right? I love them so much. Shout out to the guy, the Toilet Man. Shout out to Duchamp. I've read like a book on him. I don't know, I forgot his name. Shout out to Duchamp. Shout out to Dali's paintings, but not Dali. And shout out to Albert Camus. Not because he was painting anything, just because he was kind of doing his thing back then, and I want to give him his credit for that. But so there's a lot of argument though about like Dadaism, Surrealism. A lot of times, if you're looking at things about them, they'll be grouped together as like Dadaism / Surrealism. And it's interesting because the art remains the same either way, and largely the point of the art also kind of remains the same. And it seems like to me what it feels like, and I think this is what happens. This is the other reason why I'm doing this here, is because I'm not nearly informed enough to give a good take on this. I think what happens a lot of the time is like a bunch of artists do their thing, right? Where they make art that looks and feels a certain way. They're kind of all in the same area. Maybe they're influenced by the same thing at the same time. Something happens along those lines. And then years later, maybe it's more current, maybe it's in the moment, but oftentimes it's years from what I understand. Someone comes along and like just tries to get like a big curtain over it, you know, and they just label it whatever they see fit, you know. Almost like, have you ever moved houses or something like that, and you have a big box, and like you're getting toward the end, so you don't really have like a category of thing. So you start grabbing things. At first you're grabbing a bunch of books, so it's the books box. But then you're grabbing a bunch of books, and maybe you grab like a book end too, so it's like shelf stuff. You name it shelf stuff. Then you start grabbing like tchotchkes, you put on the shelf. So you just name it shelves. Then you start grabbing maybe a thing or two from your desk. Then suddenly it's just misc box. Like, I think that's sort of what genre is like there's a bunch of things that you have in an area or you know, in a time, or that look the same, and you kind of group them all together into a box, and you label the box at the end. And this is where it gets hard though, because sometimes genres are super expansive and long-standing. Like jazz with Leve, going back to that example. She is so new, but jazz is so old, right? So I do believe, like, honestly, just from what I like understood in that video, that like in X number of years, you know, when Leve's kind of like out of her peak, like right now she's huge, when she's kind of like retiring, stuff like that, she'll just be referred to as jazz. Because in that case, in that sort of scenario, perception is very much reality. She sounds like jazz, she looks like jazz, she feels like jazz, she's gonna get called jazz. I think that, at least. I could be wrong. But then it's like looking at this grouping of jazz as this certain thing, now the grouping changes. They're like, no, jazz can encompass this because there's a jazz singer who did that. So genre is just something waiting to be broken, which is why I think it's really quite like interesting to focus on it. Like I see a lot of artists when they're starting, they think a lot about their own perspective. Like they're like, what is my perspective in all this, and how do I want to go about doing whatever I'm doing, right? Which is a noble thing, like it's a good thing to do. I don't disrespect that. I think it's a good way to go, and I think it can be fun, you know, whatever. But there is also something to be said for like, your perspective is you. Like you're alive, you know? You already have a perspective by default. Just go do, and then someone will figure out for you later. Like I think so often that's how this works, and we don't, I don't know if we don't like it or we don't realize it. I don't know, I think this is something that maybe is just like not. I mean, it's not an important conversation to have. You know, no one. All it really changes is like my life. It doesn't change anyone else's. You know, so I guess like maybe that's why this isn't something that's discussed very widely. But I don't know. I just think it's interesting how things get grouped in ways of like, for an example, like Kierkegaard's an existentialist, but a lot of people tried grouping Albert Camus into that, even though he wanted to be an absurdist, and some people still do. So it's like, even if Albert Camus was like, no, I'm not Kierkegaard, everyone else is going to come along later and decide what he is. So maybe the answer is just to be as honest as possible, so when they're deciding they have a tougher time, I guess. I don't know, you know? It's really interesting the way these things work, because so much, and it kind of is sad if I think about it for too long, because so much of like art, history, all these things are really just grouped together very arbitrarily, you know? Like it's very, how do I, like no matter what you do, something else is gonna happen. And that's kind of like, duh, like you say, and it's like, duh, like, you know, yeah, something else is gonna happen, like, of course. But like, you don't want something else to happen. You want to be able to do something and make it yours. And no matter what, people are gonna come along and use it for their own means. I think Nietzsche is a great example of this, the philosopher, because he's obviously like a genius of some sort. You know, he wrote all that philosophy. He was philosophizing more than anyone I know, that's for sure. But then like the 1930s Germany happened, and they just took it and they were like, no, this is ours. Like he agrees with us, when in reality that's not at all. It was just stolen and used, and it makes it's kind of like, I think the reason it's sad for me is because like if I think about it for too long, it's like, why do I even do anything? And I think the answer is because like I can't not do anything, you know. But I don't know. I think I'm getting to the point where I'm just talking, to be honest, if we're being real. Sorry, I'm getting paint all over everything I own again. All over the set. It's not a set. I don't know why I'm calling it a set. It's not a set. Kind of looks like the French flag if you zoom in on like this one area. Like if you just zoom in there, that's the French flag for sure, which is great. That's exactly. Today, guys, I'm just painting France. I'd love to be able to do a cityscape or something of Paris, or like something like that. It doesn't have to be Paris. I'm really obsessed with France, you know. I've kind of realized that. I think everyone has fixations, which is cool. I like hearing about other people's, and mine is definitely France. Like even like I was reading up like on these articles about like French workwear the other day, and I was telling my hairdresser about it for some reason. Like I was getting my hair cut. This was like a month ago, and I was like, did you know that like French sailors would wear like these Breton smocks made of a certain cotton twill, and it's like cotton, but it absorbs things, right? Like I was like going into it, and she was like, yeah, that's so cool. I tipped well that day for dealing with all that. Don't worry. But I think it's cool when people have fixations like that, because you can see it like in weird little ways. You know what I mean? Like even like if I didn't start going off into this tangent about how I'm obsessed with France, like as one of my fixations, you could have like someone could extrapolate it based on the fact that I, for some reason, saw blue, white, and red and thought about the French flag instead of the Pepsi logo. I love Pepsi. It's like, you know, that's interesting to me how it almost like leaks in certain ways. But I don't know why I'm so obsessed with France. I've only been there once. I was there for like a day this was years ago at this point. I was backpacking around Europe with my brother, and I had to catch a flight back to New York. He was headed back to Madrid. And we were like, we want to go to one more place. You know, this was when I still am like super broke. Like I didn't have enough money to like just like do a trip how I would want to do it, which I still don't. So I don't know why I started that with this is when. But like obviously just you're backpacking around, you're staying in hostels for like $10 a night, and we were like, we want to get one more place in. We were really close to France, so we just went to France. and we were there for literally 24 hours. And I loved it for those 24 hours. I think the reason why I loved it, though, to be completely honest, because this is when my fixation with France started. I think the reason why I loved it is because I was getting kind of homesick at that point of the trip, just because like I was out of New York for like 3-4 weeks or something like that. I don't know. It was a long time. It felt like forever. And you know, I love New York so much. I love the city. And when I was in France, it really reminded me of New York, which is, I think, why I loved it so much. Because it, like, felt like I was, like, back home, even though, I don't know, like, it was home, but it was, like, home, but, like a little, like, more interesting. Like, it was, like they were, like, better architecture. But it still, I don't know, it felt homey. It felt good. I think that's why I liked it so much. But ever since then, my obsession really, like, dialed in, and I learned about the whole French Revolution. And I was like, you know what I think I admire about the French people? I love how they, like, just kind of, like, really stand on something, you know? Like, I feel like in America, we're so lazy. Like, when things are happening that are bad, we're just kind of like, I don't know, we'll just do something, you know, whatever. Hopefully someone does something about that. In France, though, like, I remember they tried raising their, like, retirement age a couple years back, like, maybe a year or something like that. And they took to the streets and rioted, and I was like, yeah, like totally. Like, they're trying to make you work another year, like, get them. And I just like that about them. Like, I feel like they're always revolting in some way, and I'm like, yeah, like, keep that up. Like, I feel like we need more of that. I don't know anything about how they're actually doing, or like if anything good is going on there right now. I don't know, but I know they did that whole revolution thing that was it seemed cool. I know it didn't end up working out well because of like Napoleon. Yeah, he kind of messed that up, right? But anyways, this is my finished painting. This is what we've done today. I hope you like it. I will, of course, as always, be posting the dried, finished version of this painting on my Instagram an hour or so after this goes up, so you can see it from straight on without all the filters, without the angle, and without me here talking over it. I think tomorrow maybe I'll go into some other random stuff I'm into, like fixations and stuff. That could be fun. Comment yours down below. I should do that. Wait, that's so cool. I should start doing that. Like, whenever I do a little something, whenever I talk about a little something, I'll be like, you chime in. That way it's like I can read what's going on with you guys too. So tell me, like, one of your random fixations like that, that's like you would not talk about, but like you just like are always circling back to it. Because I think that stuff is so interesting. But until then, go out there, do something you like in the next 24 hours, and I'll see you tomorrow morning and paint and talk once again.